Picture this. You're huddled in a shallow cave with 20 others, watching the last flames of your fire flicker against stone walls. Outside, the African night pulses with sounds you've learned to decode. The distant roar of a lion, the whooping call of hyenas, the crack of branches that might mean nothing, or everything. Your eyes strain against the darkness beyond the firelight. Every shadow could hide death. Every silence could mean a predator has spotted your group and gone quiet, preparing to strike. You clutch a sharpened stick, but you know it's almost useless against what's out there. Then you see them. Two amber eyes reflecting your dying fire from the cave entrance. A leopard, silent, patient, waiting. This wasn't paranoia. This was survival, and it's written in your DNA. For nearly 2 million years, 3 apex predators turned the African night into a killing field. Each one exploited a different vulnerability. Each one left their mark on human evolution, and the evidence is carved into the bones of our ancestors. The leopard was humanity's perfect nightmare. Silent, solitary, and absolutely lethal to primates. We know this because of a fossil called SK54, a partial skull of early Homo erectus from South Africa, dating back 1.9 million years. For decades, researchers knew something had killed this individual, but they couldn't prove what. Then came artificial intelligence. In 2025, researchers trained computer vision models to recognize the bite patterns of different predators. When they analyzed SK54, the AI identified something remarkable: 2 precise puncture marks on the skull that matched perfectly with leopard canines. This wasn't scavenging. This was predation. The spacing, the depth, the angle, everything pointed to a leopard sinking its teeth into a living human ancestor. The AI analysis was so precise it could distinguish leopard bites from lion bites, from hyena bites, from any other predator. And it confirmed what our ancestors feared most. Leopards didn't just hunt them occasionally, they hunted them regularly. Leopards are still the most effective primate killers on Earth. They hunt gorillas, they hunt chimpanzees, and for millions of years, they hunted us. They're perfectly adapted for it, climbing trees to attack sleeping primates, using stealth to get close, and possessing the jaw strength to crush skulls with a single bite. When darkness fell, leopards owned the night. But at least you could try to hide from leopards. Giant hyenas were different. They didn't just hunt in the open, they invaded your refuges. Pachycrocuta brevirostris stood 3 feet at the shoulder and weighed up to 300 pounds. These weren't scavengers like modern hyenas. They were active hunters with bone-crushing jaws that could snap human femurs like twigs. And they had a terrifying habit. They turned human shelters into their own feeding dens. The famous Zhoukoudian cave site in China tells this story. For years, archaeologists thought it was a Homo erectus campsite. Then taphonomic analysis revealed the truth. The cave was primarily a giant hyena den. The human bones scattered throughout, they showed the distinctive fracture patterns of hyena consumption. Skulls cracked open to access brains, long bones snapped for marrow, tooth marks everywhere. These hyenas didn't just kill humans, they moved into human shelters and made them into butcher shops. Imagine trying to sleep in a cave, knowing that at any moment, a 300-pound bone crusher might decide your refuge was actually its dining room. The psychological terror was as devastating as the physical threat. If leopards were silent killers and hyenas were shelter invaders, scimitar cats were something else entirely. Coordinated pack hunters the size of lions. Homotherium lived alongside human ancestors for over 4 million years. Recent genomic analysis revealed something chilling. These cats had evolved genes related to enhanced cognition and social behavior. They likely hunted in groups, using coordinated strategies that would have made individual human defense almost impossible. Picture it. A pride of lion-sized predators with massive, serrated canine teeth, working together to surround human groups in the darkness. Their elongated limbs made them pursuit specialists. They could run down fleeing humans over long distances. And their social hunting meant that even if you escaped one, others would be waiting. The compounding terror was this. Each predator exploited different vulnerabilities. Leopards used stealth. Hyenas invaded shelters. Scimitar cats coordinated attacks. There was no single defense that worked against all three. Our ancestors had to develop multiple strategies simultaneously, or die. And these weren't the only threats. When early humans ventured to water sources, the oases that meant survival in the African savanna, crocodiles waded beneath the surface. We know this from OH8, a fossilized foot from Olduvai Gorge dating to 1.8 million years ago. The bone bears extensive tooth marks from a crocodile attack. The foot was torn from the body, disarticulated by massive jaws in the shallows where our ancestors came to drink. Even the sky wasn't safe. The Tong Child, that famous 2-million-year-old skull that helped define our understanding of early human evolution, tells a different story than we once thought. Recent analysis revealed puncture marks and scratches around the eye sockets, identical to damage found on modern monkey skulls killed by African crowned eagles. A juvenile Australopithecine, snatched from the ground by talons and carried to a rocky outcrop to be consumed. The message was clear. There was nowhere to run. Predators controlled the land, the water, and the air. Our ancestors were surrounded by death from every direction. But the real enemy wasn't any single predator. It was the darkness itself. The fundamental problem wasn't just that predators were dangerous. It was that humans were catastrophically handicapped when darkness fell. We were diurnal primates, trying to survive in a world where most of our predators owned the night. Consider the basic physics of vision. Human eyes can detect light, but we need roughly 50 times more light than a cat to see clearly. In the deep darkness of an African night, with no moon and cloud cover, we were essentially blind. Meanwhile, leopards could see us perfectly. They could track our movements, count our numbers, and plan their attacks while we stumbled around, helpless. This visual disadvantage created a sensory prison. During daylight hours, humans could spot predators from hundreds of meters away. We could coordinate defenses, throw rocks, and brandish spears. But when the sun set, all those advantages vanished. We became prey animals waiting to be hunted. The terror of this handicap is hardwired into your brain right now. 30% of children experience nyctophobia, the fear of darkness. This isn't learned behavior, it's evolutionary inheritance. For millions of years, children who weren't afraid of the dark were the ones who didn't survive to reproduce. The fear kept them close to fires, close to adults, close to safety. But vision was only part of the problem. Humans also had inadequate hearing compared to nocturnal predators. We couldn't detect the subtle sounds that announced approaching death, the soft pad of leopard paws, the controlled breathing of a stalking cat, the coordinated movements of a hyena pack. Instead, predators used sound as a weapon against us. Lions roar not just to communicate, but to disorient prey. The sound can be heard from 5 miles away and creates a psychological impact that freezes potential victims. Hyenas develop their infamous laugh, a vocalization that signals pack coordination and strikes terror into prey animals. Even modern humans find these sounds deeply unsettling, despite having no real predation risk. The acoustic landscape of the African night was a symphony of terror. Every sound could mean death. Every silence could mean a predator had spotted you and gone quiet, preparing to strike. The psychological cost of this constant vigilance was enormous. Chronic stress, hypervigilance, and the exhausting mental load of interpreting every environmental cue as a potential threat. Modern data confirms that night remains the danger zone. Studies of lion attacks on humans in Tanzania show they're 60% more likely to occur after 6 p.m. This isn't coincidence. It's the evolutionary reality that shaped our ancestors. Darkness equals danger. The equation is written in our DNA. The psychological burden extended beyond individual survival. Group dynamics became critical because no single human could maintain vigilance throughout the entire night. Someone had to stay awake while others slept. Someone had to listen while others rested. The cognitive load of coordinating group defense, managing sleep schedules, and maintaining constant awareness pushed human intelligence in new directions. Faced with this nightly gauntlet, our ancestors had 3 choices: adapt, hide, or die. They chose to adapt, and their solution was revolutionary. They stole fire from the gods. The earliest definitive evidence comes from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, where controlled fire burned 1 million years ago. But here's what makes this discovery extraordinary. The burned bone and plant remains were found 30 meters deep inside the cave. Lightning couldn't have reached that far. Wildfires couldn't have penetrated that depth. This was deliberate, controlled fire. maintained by Homo erectus in the darkest recesses of their shelter. Why so deep inside? The answer reveals fire's true original purpose. This wasn't about cooking. It wasn't about warmth. It was about creating an impenetrable barrier between humans and the predators that hunted them. Recent bioenergetic analysis has shattered the conventional wisdom about early fire use. For decades, researchers assumed cooking was the primary driver of fire technology. But the math doesn't support this. Cooking meat provides only modest energetic gains, roughly 1,200 calories per hour. Meanwhile, the costs of fire production and maintenance were enormous. The energy equation didn't balance. But preservation and protection? That changed everything. When Homo erectus killed a hippopotamus, they had enough meat to feed 25 people for 22 days. Without fire, they'd lose most of that bounty to scavenging carnivores within hours. With fire, they could smoke the meat, preserve it, and defend it from the guild of predators that would inevitably come calling. Every early fire site dating before 780,000 years ago contains remains of megafauna. This isn't coincidence. Fire wasn't just a cooking tool. It was a fortress that allowed humans to monopolize the largest prey animals on Earth. The fuel choices at Wonderwork reveal the desperation behind fire maintenance. Analysis shows they burned primarily light plant materials, grasses, leaves, and brushwood. These materials burn quickly and require constant attention. The continuous replenishment suggests these fires were never allowed to die. They couldn't be. An extinguished fire meant death. Ethnographic evidence from modern hunter-gatherers confirms fire's protective function. The Kung people of the Kalahari emphasize fire's role in predator deterrence above all other uses. They maintain fires throughout the night, and their oral histories contain detailed accounts of fatal attacks that occurred when fires went out. In one documented case, a child was killed by lions after sleeping just a short distance from her parents when they allowed their fire to extinguish. Fire enabled the most crucial transition in human evolution: terrestrial sleeping. Think about this. Among all primates, sleeping on the ground is virtually unheard of. Chimpanzees build sleeping platforms in trees every night. Gorillas occasionally sleep terrestrially, but only the largest males in predator-poor environments. Baboons sleep on cliff faces. Ground sleeping is evolutionary suicide for primates. Except for humans, we're the only primates who routinely sleep on the ground. But we couldn't have made this transition without fire. The control of fire was a prerequisite for obligate terrestriality. It was the technology that allowed Homo erectus to abandon the trees permanently and claim the ground as our domain. The cognitive demands of fire maintenance drove brain evolution in unexpected directions. Keeping fire alive required planning, knowing where to find fuel, predicting weather patterns, coordinating collection efforts. It required cooperation, dividing labor, scheduling maintenance, sharing the burden of vigilance. It required resource management, balancing fuel consumption against availability, stockpiling materials for emergencies. These weren't simple tasks. They were complex cognitive challenges that pushed human intelligence beyond anything seen in other primates. Fire maintenance created a feedback loop between technology and cognition. Better fire control meant better survival. Better survival meant larger brains. Larger brains meant even better fire control. But fire alone wasn't enough. The night demanded a complete rewiring of human society. Fire created a sanctuary, but maintaining it required something unprecedented in primate evolution: massive social cooperation. The terror of nocturnal predation didn't just change how humans use technology, it fundamentally rewired human society itself. Predation pressure drove group sizes to extraordinary levels. While most primate species live in groups of 20 to 30 individuals, Homo erectus groups swelled to over 100 members. This wasn't about social bonding or resource sharing. It was about survival mathematics. In a group of 100, your individual chance of being the one taken by a leopard dropped to 1%. Diluted risk through numbers became humanity's first insurance policy. But large groups created new problems. How do you coordinate the defense of 100 people? How do you ensure someone stays awake throughout the entire night? How do you prevent chaos when a predator attacks? The solutions our ancestors developed laid the foundation for everything we recognize as human civilization. The breakthrough came through an elegant biological hack: chronotype variation. Not everyone in your group naturally wanted to sleep at the same time. Some people were morning larks. They went to bed early and woke before dawn. Others were night owls. They stayed up late and slept in. This wasn't personality differences. It was evolutionary engineering. A groundbreaking study of the Hadza hunter-gatherers in Tanzania revealed the genius of this system. Researchers monitored sleep patterns in a Hadza camp for 20 consecutive days. The results were stunning. There were only 18 minutes during the entire 20-day period when every single person was simultaneously asleep. For 99.8% of night hours, at least one person remained awake and alert. This wasn't coincidence. It was the sentinel hypothesis in action, the idea that groups share vigilance duties, with some individuals sleeping while others maintain watch. But humans perfected this system through age-structured vigilance. Older adults naturally became morning larks, waking early to tend fires and scan for threats. Younger adults became night owls, staying up late to guard against predators that hunted in the deep hours. Children and adolescents filled the middle shifts. The rotating guard system meant no single individual bore the crushing psychological burden of all-night vigilance. The cognitive load was distributed across the entire group. But coordinating this system required unprecedented social sophistication. Someone had to track who was sleeping when. Someone had to ensure coverage gaps didn't develop. Someone had to wake the next shift when their turn came. These coordination challenges pushed human social cognition into entirely new territory. Managing a 100-person group requires keeping track of complex relationships, remembering individual capabilities, and planning collective actions. The mental demands of group defense created selection pressure for larger, more sophisticated brains capable of handling social complexity. But the real innovation was cooperative defense strategies. When predators attacked, humans didn't just flee or hide. They fought back as a coordinated unit. Archaeological evidence suggests early Homo groups developed collective counterattacks that surpassed anything seen in other primates. They could surround attacking predators, coordinate spear thrusts, and use group tactics to drive off even large carnivores. This required split-second communication and rehearsed responses. Groups had to practice defensive formations. They had to establish command structures. They had to develop signals that worked in darkness. The cognitive demands of military-style coordination drove the evolution of language, leadership, and strategic thinking. The social structures that emerged from predation pressure became the template for human civilization. Hierarchies based on defensive capability, division of labor for security tasks, collective decision-making about resource allocation, risk assessment, and group planning. These weren't cultural inventions. They were survival necessities forged in the crucible of nocturnal terror. The feedback loop was relentless. Predation pressure demanded larger groups. Larger groups required sophisticated coordination. Sophisticated coordination selected for bigger brains. Bigger brains enabled even better group defense. Each generation that survived the night was slightly more social. The predators didn't just change how we slept. They changed how we think. The terror of the night didn't just shape human behavior. It rewired the human brain itself. Every time you feel uneasy in darkness, every time you wake up startled at 3 a.m., every time you check the locks before bed, you're experiencing the neurological inheritance of ancestors who survived because they were afraid. Your sleep architecture is a masterpiece of anti-predator engineering. Unlike other primates who sleep deeply for long stretches, humans have evolved a fragmented sleep pattern with frequent, brief awakenings between cycles. These micro-arousals aren't sleep disorders, they're security checks. Your brain briefly surfaces from deep sleep, scans for threats, then returns to rest if the environment seems safe. The first night effect reveals this system in action. When you sleep in an unfamiliar place, a hotel room, a friend's house, your sleep becomes asymmetric. One hemisphere of your brain maintains heightened vigilance, while the other sleeps more deeply. This is remarkably similar to the unihemispheric sleep of dolphins and seals, who must remain alert for predators even while resting. Your brain literally stands guard while you sleep. REM sleep, that strange stage where your body becomes paralyzed while your mind races through vivid dreams, serves a crucial anti-predator function. During REM, your brain rehearses responses to threatening situations. It simulates predator encounters, practices escape routes, and consolidates spatial memories of dangerous locations. The threat simulation theory suggests that dreaming evolved as a virtual reality training system for survival scenarios. This explains why REM sleep increases after stressful events, and why nightmares often feature themes of being chased, trapped, or attacked. Your sleeping brain is running survival drills, preparing for threats that might never come, but once determined the difference between life and death for your ancestors. The encephalization that defines human evolution, our massive brain growth over the past 2 million years, was driven largely by predation pressure. Managing large groups, coordinating defenses, maintaining fire technology, and tracking predator movements required unprecedented cognitive capabilities. The brain regions dedicated to threat detection, spatial memory, and strategic planning expanded dramatically during this period. Your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, is hyper-developed compared to other primates. It's constantly scanning for potential threats, ready to flood your system with stress hormones at the first sign of danger. Your hippocampus, crucial for spatial memory, evolved to create detailed mental maps of safe and dangerous locations. Your prefrontal cortex developed the capacity for complex planning and risk assessment. Even your social brain bears the marks of ancient terror. The ability to read facial expressions, interpret vocal tones, and coordinate with others in high-stress situations. All these capabilities were honed by the necessity of group defense against predators. The same neural networks that helped your ancestors coordinate midnight watches now help you navigate modern social situations. Modern neuroscience reveals the persistence of these ancient adaptations. Brain imaging studies show that darkness activates the same neural pathways involved in fear and vigilance. Even in perfectly safe environments, your brain treats darkness as a potential threat, maintaining heightened alertness and stress responses that served your ancestors well, but may seem excessive today. Our greatest evolutionary advantage, the complex brain that made us the dominant species on Earth, emerged from our greatest vulnerability. We didn't become intelligent despite being prey. We became intelligent because we were prey. The shadow of ancient predators forged our minds, our societies, and our technology. Every time you feel afraid in the dark, you're experiencing the survival mechanism that made us human. The night was humanity's first teacher, and terror was the lesson that transformed us from vulnerable primates into the dominant species on Earth. Everything that makes us distinctly human, our mastery of fire, our complex social structures, our oversized brains, even our capacity for cooperation, emerged from the crucible of darkness. Our fear, our fire, our social bonds were all forged in those desperate hours between sunset and dawn, when survival meant outsmarting predators that were faster, stronger, and better adapted to kill in darkness. We didn't conquer the night by becoming fearless. We conquered it by being afraid enough to outsmart it. That ancient terror lives on in your DNA, a reminder of the price our ancestors paid to give us the world we inherited. If this journey through our predator-haunted past left you questioning everything you thought you knew about human nature, don't let it end here. Subscribe to see what other uncomfortable truths are buried in the bones of our ancestors.